名前は
小栗虫太郎。
ありがとう。これで全ての情報が揃ったよ。君が2つの事件の犯人だ。小栗虫太郎君。まだ語られない物語の先で。
Hi everyone, I'm going to react to Bungo Stray Dogs Season 4, Episode 5, A Perfect Murder and Murderer Part 2. Last episode was the perfect murder. Oh my goodness. Rumple is on this case about this. Well, first of all, Kunikida is in prison because of the girl that killed herself with the bombing and stuff. And this evidence eraser, this perfect murderer, is the one that destroyed all the evidence that pointed to Kunikida's innocence. So Rumple is trying to find him. And while he was doing that, he ran into Poe. And Poe and him started working on this mystery together. And it turns out that the mystery that Poe was working on is related to the evidence eraser. And the evidence eraser tried to fake his death with this person. But Rumple figured out that it was a fake. And when he put on the glasses to try to connect to who it was, the evidence eraser used his ability, Perfect Murder, I think it's called, something or other like that, his ability, and to destroy all the evidence. So Rumple couldn't figure it out. But then toward the end of the episode, the guy was waiting for this person to come and pick him up. And Rumple showed up there looking for a taxi. The person that came to pick up, I think his name was Mushitaro. The person that came to pick up Mushitaro got there, and Rumple forced himself into the car. And while they were going along, Rumple started telling him about the case and everything. And I'm like, okay, does Rumple know that this person is the evidence eraser or not? So I don't know. I guess we'll see. That's what happened last episode. And before we get into this one, if you guys like my reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and please consider supporting my Patreon at patreon.com/philomini. And now let's start this episode. And here we go. I'm upset. I'm upset that he died, especially after Rumple found him a job, with the Special Ops Division. I mean, he's never killed anybody apart from his friend, whether he hated him or not. That was his friend, and he felt bad about killing him. Like, he was crying over the manuscript, and over the manuscript. That's what stained it, and that's why he was in such a hurry to replace that last part. So when he said that he was gonna confess after Rumple just laid everything out for him, and he's like he's basically the embodiment of Fyodor or something or other like that, and told Mushitaro that if he doesn't basically confess, that he was gonna let the whole world know about the truth behind the novel, and people are not gonna want to solve it anymore. So his friend's last wish basically is not gonna be granted. So because he wanted to keep his friend's wish alive, he decided to confess to the murder. And he undid his ability, so they were able to find evidence that exonerated Kunikida, so Kunikida is not going to be in prison anymore. And Rumple gave him the card, and he was living, when he said, when he's got captured and everything, like, I don't know, when he said that he was the one that killed Mushitaro, the other person, the writer, and he was gonna get transported and everything. I said out loud that is he gonna make it? Is he gonna be alive? Is Fyodor gonna let him? Are they gonna kill him? Are they gonna silence him? And that's exactly what happened. When they were driving him, and then the police officer was like, "What's going on?" They was sort of like stopped. I knew what was about. Oh, let me speak. I knew what was about to happen. Like I knew it. And the guy just showed up, and it's like, "That doesn't matter. Who got killed? You." Like I said even before he said it. I could tell what was gonna happen. And this guy said he was called Nikolai. He's part of the, what they call again, the DECAY of the Angels. And that because Mushitaro knew about their upcoming plan, they weren't gonna let him live. And they confirmed that they were working with Fyodor. Now, I'm confused because last episode, okay. The last we saw of Fyodor was him being transported by the special ops, right? He was captured. And last episode, there was a scene where Mushitaro was talking about how, was he talking about the special ops? Like how how Fyodor let himself be captured. I thought what he said during that episode was that Fyodor let himself be captured by him being Mushitaro. But the last time that he was captured, meaning Fyodor, it was by the Special Ops Division. So is that what Mushitaro meant when he was talking about Fyodor letting himself be captured? And if that's the case, then that arrest, whatever, in that restaurant is all part of his plan, basically. I think when I was talking about that episode, I also mentioned something around those lines. I don't know if I said that he might have a part of his plan, but I knew it wasn't gonna last. Him being captured, like it's not gonna last. So it's like, I don't know, like I'm sort of confused about that. What Mushitaro said last episode. And then this one is like you're working with Fyodor, so it's like clearly Fyodor is still pulling the strings. Excuse me. And then they were about to kill him. And then he started telling Rumpo that there was this case that was coming, this big case that was coming for the detective agency, that they should not accept it. And that if they did accept it, then that would be the end of the detective agency. Now, Rumpo was sitting sort of like a little further away from the car. So I'm not sure if he actually heard the whole message. I know he was there at the end when Mushitaro was saying don't accept. He said don't accept that part. He heard it, but I just don't remember. I just don't know if he heard the full conversation. So I don't know, are they gonna accept this job that's coming or not? And how is this job supposed to end the agency? Like, I said previously that I was asking myself if Fyodor was like the big bad of this show. And the way it's going, it seems like that's what it is. Like, yeah, there are these other smaller cases that they do once in a while, but the overarching bad guy seems to be Fyodor, So it's like, it's not like we see Fyodor like all the time, but I'm getting to a point where I'm like tired of him and I want him like, gone. Paul used his ability to, when they were in the car and Rumpo was telling Mushitaro how he came to the conclusion that he was the one. He was the evidence eraser and he was the murderer of the writer and everything. And the guy was like, but you're not gonna be able to do anything, Mushitaro. but you're not gonna be able to do anything. You need actual evidence and stuff. And then the person that was driving, the driver, just like pulled a gun on Rumple. You know when he pulled the gun on Rumple, and Rumple was sort of like playing it like nonchalant. Like, I couldn't help but be reminded of the case that, the flashback between Rumple and the Fushi. What was it, Fushiguro? Um, what was the Mimi Fukuzawa? The backstory between those two, when excuse me, when Rumple put himself in danger. He had a gun pointed at him, and then Fukuzawa came into the window and then, slapped him and everything. I couldn't help but be reminded of that, because he was basically putting himself in danger here as well, even though the guy's gun was not loaded. I couldn't help but be reminded of that. And then it turns out that they were surrounded by police, and that he was basically in communication with Paul. That's what that phone, when the phone rang with when Paul was over there with the police officers, and they were like, "What the heck is that?" And it was his ringtone and all of that. So he was in communication with him and everything, and they could have been arrested then and there, but, well, was he also part of Rumple's plan? Because Rumple could have known that these guys had diplomatic immunity. He could have, right? Even if he didn't know, he left the phone in the car with Mushitaro, and then when Mushitaro picked it up, you see all these writings and stuff, and then you hear Rumple's voice telling him that he was gonna capture him one way or another, or something or other like that. And then he got sucked into the world, like the final scene where he was killing the writer, but the roles were in reverse. Instead of him being on top, choking his friend, it was the other friend that was on top and everything. Then Rumple also showed up there, and even though I didn't say it, my mom went to Poe's ability. But then when the guy was like, even if I confess in here, it's not gonna be sort of like admissible in the real world, and why not? Then I started thinking, okay, maybe it's a combination. Maybe they try to make it seem like he was like, I was thinking of Tanizaki's Mirage, like maybe he's created this mirage world where they were actually in the real world, and if he admitted to being the one that killed the writer, the police were there, they were recording the confession or something or other like that, and they were going to be able to arrest him that way. That's what I was thinking, but no, it was still Poe's ability. They were in there, but Rumple basically convinced him to give himself up, and he leveraged the fact that his friend's dying wish, I guess, to push him to confess. So that's what happened. He confessed, and then he got killed, and then he sent out a warning, although I'm not sure if Rumple heard all the warning. He heard the last part at least, and then the guy was killed. And they kept zooming in on Rumple's face. I was wondering if he was gonna feel guilty about it, because when Kunikida was in prison and Rumple showed up there, and he told Kunikida that if he had been able to see through Fyodor's plan, then that little girl would have been alive. So I feel like he was feeling guilty about that. And then in this particular episode, Mushitaro was killed, basically by Fyodor again. So is Rumple gonna feel guilty about it, about not having seen through that, not having predicted that Mushitaro was gonna get killed? you know. So I don't know how he's gonna be feeling about it. That's why I don't like Fyodor. I don't like the fact that he's making Rumpel, even though yes, Rumpel is this amazing detective and he's able to figure out this murder that's supposed to be a perfect murder and all of that. He's able to figure that out, you know, even though the guy's gifted and everything. Fyodor still is like, it feels like he's a million steps ahead of them, and I don't like that. Like, I really don't. You have these amazing detective, and you have oh my gosh, people. It's like 2 a.m., 2:18 a.m. So I feel like I'm having a hard time remembering people's names. I don't know why I'm forgetting my boy's name. Dazai. Oh my gosh. I've been here trying to figure out Dazai's name. Like, you have Rumpel, who's this amazing detective, and you have Dazai, who's this intelligent, brilliant person. But then you have Fyodor that's sort of like running circles around them, and I don't like it. I don't want anybody to be more intelligent than these two. You get what I mean? You know, I don't like the fact that he's giving them the runaround. Like, I don't like it. Like, when they solve one thing, another thing pops out that makes them feel like they haven't done anything. I don't like that. Ugh. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you want to see my reaction to the next episode, you can do so by checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/Caroline, and you can also see the full link for this reaction there as well. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. No, I get my chicken. You know, listen, baby, don't worry. See